Welcome back to the Early Weigh-In Podcast. This Saturday, going down to Las Vegas, International Fight Week, we got UFC 317. Our headliner, vacant lightweight strap up for grabs, former champion Charles Oliveira, taking on former featherweight champ, making his lightweight debut in Topuria, and another great co-main event, man, Alexandre Pantoja, making his fourth defense of his belt, I believe, against Kaikar France. Pretty much wiped out the rest of the division there. Excited for the card, man. 12 fights, some pretty good, solid matchups. Hope for some finishes. As always, recap last week before we get into it. Do believe loss on both sides of us, man. I went 2 for 3 on my straight picks, all plus money though. Usman was a little sketch after that first round, but bounced back and cashed a plus 140 to start the night. And then the other hit was Fiziev, which you and I kind of regret not playing bigger than we did. And then Bogdan, man, gave a great fight. But, man, Jamal Hill didn't look the same. Nowhere near championship caliber, and Tofik Musayev got absolutely worked. And then, man, it was Segula that almost finished the fight, and Alexieva refusing to grapple. I know we both lost there, but, yeah, just a small loss for me, man. It came down to the main event. I finished minus 1.45 units, looking to move on to this pay-per-view.
Yeah, man, certainly upset about the Fiziev play. Like, that was maybe my favorite spot of the year. Talked about putting 3 units on it. I might have gotten scared off by the injury rumors. And then on top of it, I was on vacation. So really beat myself up for not hitting that harder. Jamal Hill, that was a tough performance. As at Maxim at plus 345, I play that every single time again. I'm not upset with that at all. And then I'd say the biggest disappointment in the night was Park wins by sub in round 2 and round 3. Into round 3 has him dead to rights. And I honestly think the only reason why I did not hit that is because Park got eye poked in the second round, gave Ishmael 5 minutes of time to recover. I knew he was going to get drowned. That was insane odds, plus 2,400 if it hits. Whole different night if it does. Minus 2.95 units. Not what I'm looking for. Looking to turn around right here. And we start off the night with a money-making opportunity, I think. We've got Jackson McVeigh and Christopher Ewart both making their UFC debuts here at 185 pounds, both guys undefeated. And, I watched a little bit of the McVeigh tape. Man, he's super aggressive. He'll jump on some submissions. And then on the Ewart side, also pretty aggressive. Got a chin on him. He can definitely take some damage. The angle I'm looking to attack this one with is the over 1.5. Both these guys undefeated fighters. I think when they do lose, it's going to be by decision. And if you look on their records, every time that they've also fought an undefeated fighter, those are the times that they've been to decision. This is UFC jitters. I don't expect them to, go out there balls to the wall and F up a pretty decent debut opponent. So I think that they're going to get their feel in there. Over 1.5 plus money. That's definitely how I'm looking to play this fight rather than picking a side. Outside of that, I might only be hitting it for a unit, but this will be a good fight to kind of gauge how these guys will do in their UFC career moving forward. I know Ewart was scheduled on the Contender Series, so he was already in fight camp. And Jackson McVeigh fought like last week or something. So I lean Ewart if I'm getting a pick, but the over 1.5 is how I'd like to approach this.
Man, I don't hate that one bit whatsoever. I was kind of excited to maybe try to play Jackson McVeigh earlier in the week when he was taking on Cedric Dumas. Guy comes out the gate quick, like you said, pretty slick with his submission attempts. Here, though, man, I don't think he's going to be as successful trying to get the fight to the mat or locking up anything against Christopher. I think Christopher's probably the better striker of the two. Definitely's got the better cardio, I think, of the two if it come down to it. And, I'm not counting out a round 2 or 3 finish for the Ewart side, but I feel like if I was attacking it, sitting at plus money, plus 100, over 1.5 for an angle that you really, really like, man, I think that's worthy of playing. I like that. I'm on the Ewart side. Don't hate your play one bit though. Moving on up, 265 at heavyweight, we got Jonata Denise taking on the newcomer Alvin Hines. Albert Hines, like, profiles as the type of fighter that could give Denise trouble, like the Tibera, like the Carl Williams, the guys who could go in there and take him down. I don't think Alvin Hines is that good of a wrestler. I think his lead leg's going to get beat up. I think the level of competition's been very, very poor. And I don't think he stood across from somebody who's going to have the level of striking and the power of Janata Denise. So I was tempted on the under 1.5 when it was plus money earlier this week. It's taken some love. It's minus 120 at this point. Even considered Denise knockout minus 135. But ultimately, dude, if this guy gets put on his back, the round's probably over. Austin Lane will show you that. So I don't know, man. A lot of chalk. Probably just stay away. Janata Denise inside the distance. Probably first round. So I'll see it happening though.
Yeah, so Hines a little sloppy, doesn't have the true wrestling to be able to get the fight to the ground, and then I don't think he has the jiu-jitsu to be able to land a sweep like Marcin Tybura did. Tybura was being severely underrated in that matchup, and I don't think Hines is even close to that level. Line reflects it. I think it's probably a good, a well-lined fight. So yeah, I'm on the Denise side, but he does have some major holes, so I would certainly kick myself in the ass if I laid that type of juice on somebody who has obvious holes. It's a pass for me altogether. I'm on the Denise side. Moving on to the welterweight division, we have Nico Price taking on Jacoby Smith. Another one where, kind of unplayable lines, and you certainly don't want to play Nico Price at this point in his career. Right. But I think people are kind of overrating the finishing ability of Jacoby Smith. Nico, historically, really durable. The only fight that stands out is the Robbie Lawler one. Fix might have been in. It was the retirement fight. Outside of that, in his last 11 fights, he has always hit the over 1.5. And, Jacoby Smith is a wrestler at heart. So I think that he could get him down, get some top time, really beat up Nico Price. But Nico's pretty durable, man. So yeah. I think he hangs in there. The fight starts round 2 at plus money is how I'd be looking to take this because the money lines are completely out of whack. I do think Jacoby comes in here, showcases that he's a top-level prospect, but I don't think he gets it done quite as early as everybody else seems to think. So maybe not the over 1.5, but the fight starts round 2, still plus money. Don't get greedy. I like that spot.
Yeah, man, for guys historically as durable as Nico Price, don't hate it. Jacoby Smith, I think, sort of similar to like a Phil Halls, man. Great athleticism, great wrestling background. Jacoby Smith even better, talking Division I Oklahoma State. Like that's some of the best that it gets, man. I think he's a very good prospect that could go far, but at the same time I feel like if something's going to beat one of those guys, it could be the unorthodoxness of Nico Price pulling something out of his ass. And so I don't know, man. I'd never really get on the Jacoby Smith side in any way. I don't know if I really want to play an over 1.5 with the way Nico Price looks right now. But man, with the data to back it up, as durable as he is, I feel like if you're picking a prop, that probably is the way to go. I'm on the Jacoby Smith side, man. I'm going to go Jacoby Smith inside the distance. Just don't really know when it happens. And if you do find yourself on that over 1.5 or a fight starts round 2, best of luck to you. Stepping down to 155, Terrence McKinney taking on Vyacheslav Borshev. Real good fun fight, man. Terrence McKinney always in fun fights. Talking 23 fights, never seen the scorecards at this point. Super front-loaded fighter, and man, with the way he hurts people in round 1, with the way Slava's chin's kind of going, even with the way Slava's defensive grappling is, I do think Terrence McKinney could ultimately come out here and put him away in round 1 and not struggle. But this is kind of the style of fighter or the type of fighter that I think is better than your Eric Gonzalez's, better than your Mike Breeden, someone that might get out of the first round with them. And I never want to have a chalk price tag on Terrence McKinney in a round 2 or round 3. So I think it's a fun fight that I'm ultimately happy to just sit back and watch how it plays out. I expect it to be a good one. I'm on the Terrence McKinney side, and man, I can't overlook the grappling holes. I think he strangles him rear naked choke round 1.
Yeah, so, if you want to get cute, I think you could risk 2 units. You put a unit on Terrence McKinney round 1 plus 125 and 0.5 on Vyacheslav Borshev round 2 and 3. You come out profitable. I actually like that spot because I'm kind of with you. As long as Borshev can avoid that early finish, I think we see another Terrence McKinney fading late. And Borshev, I think, he's good. He's good. He's had some really tough matchups in the UFC, so it's kind of hard to, give him his flowers, but he is a solid fighter, and I think that he would happily pour on the pace as the fight moves forward. So round 2 and round 3, I think he's super live. I think if you told me that the fight goes into round 2 and round 3, I would take Borishev. So I think total 2 units risk, and you're coming out profitable either way. Might be too cute, but Borishev round 2 plus 750 and round 3 plus 1600 looks extra juicy to me, and somebody who's notoriously giving up in his fights if he doesn't get it done early. Moving on to the flyweight division, we have Vivian Arujau taking on Tracy Cortez. This is a tough one, man. The whole week I've been wanting to bet Arujau. I think round 1 is probably hers, but I still even think it's close. Both of these girls kind of have difficulty really pulling away in rounds unless Cortez ends up on top and there's really no other option. So even if 2 judges give it to Arujau in round 1, I think there'll probably be 1 judge that gives it to Cortez. So I think that Cortez probably wins a decision 29-28 on 2 scorecards and 130-27. And I'm going to thank the Lord that I did not bet Arujau plus 3.5. Give me Tracy Cortez. I think she probably gets it done. She's just on a different part or a different place in her career, and Arujau's getting pretty old. The cardio issues really throw me off of her. So, I think it's Cortez decision, and the plus 3.5 Arujau is not hitting.
Yeah, the over 2.5 is like minus 700. They have Arujau point spread at like minus 200. So, the bookmakers kind of seem to agree with you. They think the fight's going to be close, and if there is a round, I think Vivi wins. It's probably round 1. I just feel a little bit more strongly that I don't know how much meat's truly left on the bone, but I think it's a pretty appropriately lined fight, and I typically don't say that about a wide women's MMA line like this, but Vivi is a girl who, it's been top competition, but she's consistently getting hit more than she puts out. Her gas tank is not that great, and I don't think her takedown defense is really that great either. And I think she would have lost that Karine Silva fight had Karine had a gas tank like Tracy Cortez has. And so I feel pretty strongly. I don't think I parlay or anything, but I'm okay with Tracy Cortez being minus 250 here is kind of what I'm trying to say.
Is the play Cortez plus or minus 3.5 at plus money? Like, do you think that she probably round 1's close and we might see 1 judge give it to her? Because that hits and it's plus money. I think it happens over 50% of the time. So, or right at it at least, right at 50%.
I think that'd be the first time I ever lay a minus 3.5 on a fighter, and I don't know if I want Tracy Cortez to be the first. But good point. Good point. This next fight, though, that I have some action on, man. And kind of like you were talking about with Terrence McKinney, I've played it 2 different ways here. At 145, we got Hyder Emil taking on Jose Delgado. I've got a unit on Hyder Emil straight at plus 150. I think it's a fun fight, man. I think Hyder Emil is ultra durable. I think Hyder Emil has the better proven gas tank, can fight at a higher pace. I think, again, ultra durable. I think he has a lot of the takedown upside here in this fight. And what he showed me last fight, William Gomez is out there beating like Joe Anderson Brito and guys, and Hyder figured him out. Hyder figured out how to close the distance, get on the inside, work his game. And again, it's always easy to trust a guy at plus 150 when he's never been finished, when he looks to be as durable as somebody like Hyder Emil. On the Delgado side, a lot younger, seems to be a pretty decent prospect, but I don't really think he's tested all that much, just truth be told. And I think he's pretty durable as well. So my second play on this fight, I got a unit on Hyder Emil at plus 150. I've got a unit on Fight Goes the Distance at plus 165. I'm going to be clinched up the whole time because the pace of the fight's probably going to be pretty high. But again, neither guy has ever been finished. I trust the durability of both of these guys. And it was, I guess, sort of a hedge to my Emil bet because I do think if Delgado wins, it's by decision. I really do trust the durability of Hyder Emil that much, and I'd love to come out here and cash 2 plus money tickets on this fight. Another thing I wanted to say about the fight and kind of why I like Hyder Emil is Delgado lost the only decision he's been to. Hyder Emil's 4-0 to the decision. A lot of reasons, man, at plus 150. I like the Hyder Emil side this Saturday.
Yeah, so first real disagreement of the night. I kind of like, I was trying to understand your hedge angle, but if Delgado wins, I think you lose both of those because Delgado is going to finish because that's his only path to victory, and then he would win as well. So, like, I'm kind of looking at this as Delgado inside the distance at plus 140, essentially just being his money line because I don't think he wins a decision, kind of like we were talking about. But yeah, I mean, I'd be much more inclined to bet him inside the distance than I would be laying minus 172 on him. So plus 140 Delgado inside the distance. I think Emil also has kind of had some favorable matchups as far as durability is concerned, and then William Gomez not being a finisher by any stretch of the imagination. So Delgado, I think, is going to test him a little bit more, and then on top of it, he's super durable himself, so he's going to be able to withstand that early pressure that Emil brings. I got Delgado inside the distance. I'm not sure if I'm actually going to get there, but it's the first disagreement of the night. Yeah. I don't have a ton of conviction on it, so we'll see how it goes. Best of luck to you since you do have some money on it. But yeah, I got to go Delgado inside the distance here. Moving on to the middleweight division, the prelim headliner, Jack Hermansson taking on RoboCop Gregory Rodriguez. I feel like Gregory Rodriguez, a lot of people are comparing it to the Joe Pyfer fight, but he's, outside of, he has less of a chin, but I think more of a well-rounded game than Joe Pyfer. So even if, he doesn't find an early knockout, I think that he could control the fight more or less. And, Jack Hermansson just isn't in a point in his career where I want to back him. The plus money is tempting, but I think Gregory has him covered just about everywhere except for the chin. And Jack Hermansson isn't really known as a power puncher unless he winds up on top of you. I think Gregory Rodriguez's wrestling defense is good enough to not end up in that situation. So give me G-Rod. I think he probably covers his price tag. I'm staying completely away from it, though.
I texted you earlier in the week as Hermansson, one of the dogs that I was kind of eyeing. And if it was 5 rounds, I think it would be an easy trigger to pull, at least much easier for me here. I like Jack's cardio. I like his work rate. I like that it's a bigger cage for him. And ultimately, Gregory, has shown me reasons to doubt the chin and not want to lay them above minus 200 on him. I think he's real plotting. I think he's actually a little bit slower than Jack Hermansson is. Oh, man. But at the end of the day, I do think he's a more dangerous guy, younger guy, can cut off the cage, has a lot more firepower. And, when Jack stands across from guys who can hurt him, sometimes he's a little timid. Sometimes he kind of shells up. And so I'm probably just going to end up staying away. I'm going to flip my pick. I'm going to go Gregory Rodriguez. Not a ton of conviction, though. And kicking off the main card, Peyton Talbot taking on Felipe Lima. Man, I cashed Felipe Lima round 3 submission against Naimov last time out. Naimov's a guy that I've tried to get a couple on over before. I think Felipe Lima is a pretty solid prospect. I really do. I think there's potential for him to have takedown upside here, maybe to get the back at points. We've seen Talbot struggle historically with giving up that exact position. But, man, at plus 170, there's plenty of reasons why I was happy to get down a unit on Peyton Talbot. I think he's clearly the better striker here. The guy seems ultra durable. I think I can trust the durability. I like the volume, the work rate, and then just talk about the market overcorrection from being like a minus 1,000 favorite to a veteran, somebody like Tony Barcelos. And then when the Cameron Simon performance that's one of the performances to me that's just one of the most flawless performances that I've ever seen, pillar to post beatdown of somebody. And if Peyton Talbot shows up in that form, I think he can be a top 15 bantamweight. I truly do. And so I'm kind of worried the UFC's maybe giving up on him. I was thinking he might get a much easier fight after losing to Randy Barcelos than a Felipe Lima here. But yeah, give me Peyton Talbot. Give me Peyton Talbot by decision. I think he lands the harder shots. I think he walks the guy down and then puts out the volume. So yeah, give me Peyton Talbot. Do enough.
Yeah, so I'm also on the Peyton Talbot side. The more I thought about it, I didn't really like the money line price tag, but the Peyton Talbot by decision at plus 470, I don't know how we're passing up on that. That's the only way that I'd hit this fight. Felipe Lima, never been finished, super durable. I think if Talbot is able to keep it on the feet, he's going to be much better striker. He's going to be able to rack up volume. And yeah, man, I think that this is a great comeback fight for him. And plus 470 is an insane price tag. So yeah, I'm probably going to have a whole unit on Peyton Talbot decision. And I think that that's the spot on this fight. And a fight that every single person and their mom is picking Felipe Lima, man. Like, I've seen very few people on Peyton Talbot. And like you said, I think that there's been a huge market overcorrection. The plus money is tempting, but I think when you look at the fighter that he's facing, he's only going to win this by decision. So yeah, Talbot by decision plus 470 is how I'm looking to attack this one. Moving up to the lightweight division, we have Benny Dariush taking on Renato Moicano, a fight that we were supposed to have earlier in the year. You know, I think I like Benny Dariush here. I think that he just has a little better top control. I am a little worried if the fight stays on the feet. I think Renato's a little bit more has a little bit more in his arsenal of attacks. But you know, I know that everybody's saying Moicano, same age, maybe even a little older than Benny, but for whatever reason, it seems like the fight miles are getting to Benny. I'm not really sure where I'm coming to that conclusion, but whenever I watch tape, I just see Dariush moving a little bit slower than Moicano, and so this is a layoff spot for me, man. Another one where maybe I could get behind a Dariush decision, but you know, that would be the only way that I'd want to hit it. I think we're getting that at, let's see, where is it? You see minus or plus 280. That's not super tempting either, dude. If I was really hoping for 3-1 or better on that, so pass for me altogether. It does look like his line's getting bet down though. So Dariush by decision, ultimately a pass for me.
See it pretty dang similar, man. Probably going to pass. You know, Benny was somebody that you and I looked at in the original matchup at like plus 170. Now we're having to lay minus 105. Seen a lot of love this week. And, you know, man, quite frankly, he's coming off 2 pretty bad knockout losses. I'm with you. Kind of seems like the fight miles are adding up on him a whole lot more. Moicano's been put out, you know, a couple times in his career, taking some life-changing beatings from RDA, but I still think he's the more durable of the two if I had to pick right now. Moicano is just really not a super dangerous striker like a Arman or a Charles Oliveira, you know, and so I don't know if Moicano's ground game is really going to be that effective against Beneil. I like Benil's takedown defense. I like his scrambles. I like his striking out of southpaw. And like you said, you know, with who could wind up on top, I think that's Benny, man. You know, if Beneil gets in Renato Moicano's guard, I could see that being a round and just the round being over. And so I like the Beneil decision, kind of lay the way I'm leaning. And as the lines move down, yeah, before I ever lay minus 105, I'd be looking at minus 280, something on the decision line too. Moving on up, Brandon Royval taking on Joshua Van, potentially number 1 contender fight here at 125. Josh Van, man, you know, he didn't take much damage or any damage against Bruno Silva, but he did just fight 3 rounds. He did just cut weight just a couple weeks ago. He's been one of the most active fighters on the roster, super young. He's got some of the best boxing, you know, maybe in the UFC. You know, Ilya would argue that, but Joshua Van's hands are extremely nice, man. The volume's there, the body work is there, and Royval can match the volume. Royval can match the work rate and the cardio, but Joshua Van is a little bit more intentional with the shots. It's some jabs and things from Royval where Josh Van's really sitting down on the shots. He's looking for the body shots, and so I do think in a close fight, the more impactful shots, the ones that could hurt him, kind of coming on the Joshua Van side. But it's kind of hard to argue that Brandon Royval, someone who's proven to be the number 1 contender, gone toe-to-toe with Pantoja, who, again, can put out that work rate and that cardio, should be plus money here against a guy who's just not proven it in the same way Royval has. And so I know you've gotten some money down on Royval, so I'll let you chime in. I'm super, super torn. I'm going to lean with you ever so slightly on the Royval side, but I think you're a little bit more passionate than me, so let you take over.
Yeah, so this is the only bet that I actually have on the book so far. 2 units on Royval plus 102. I think it's a great buy low spot, man. He's coming off of 2 split decisions against the undefeated Tatsuro Taira and then Brandon Moreno, who's still a top level guy. Um, Joshua Van, he's 23 years old. Like, I think that this kind of shows his not immaturity, but just the fact that he is still a young fighter, that he's trying to take this fight on short notice, right after going almost a full 3 rounds. This is a lot of fight miles really early, and Brandon Royval is not the guy that you don't want to be coming in on a full camp for. I look at the one time that he had that Van has lost in the UFC, and it's against Charles Johnson, who hit him with a right uppercut, kind of in an awkward way. And I feel like Brandon Royval is the exact fighter who throws awkward strikes. He throws them from weird angles, and I think that he's the type of guy to find that chin of his. And when it hits the ground, like, I have to trust Royval as well. Most of his wins are coming by submission. We've seen Josh Van submitted in the past against low level opponents. Yeah, dude. I think that this fight's Royval anywhere that it goes. On top of that, he was prepared to fight this week against a much better opponent, Manel Kopp. This is too much too soon for Joshua Van, who's just eager to get in there after a win. I don't know, dude. I think that this is a insanely lined fight right here. So give me Royval. I feel almost as confident or more on this one as I did Fiziev last week.
Yeah,
I like Royval. I might lay more money. Again, it's kind of the rumors that's keeping me off of, just throwing my whole bankroll at it. Apparently he, was concussed in fight camp, all this kind of stuff. But if we're just going tit for tat, fighter for fighter, you consider that Josh Van has really been working hard recently. You got to go Brandon Royval, man. It's only the best of the best that are beating him at this point in his career, and he's 32 years old. Like, he is in his technical prime. So yeah, this is like a crazy spot. Joshua Van, this does nothing if Joshua Van loses this. He's 23 years old. He has potential to do something later on in his career. I think he's just, showing a little bit of immaturity taking this fight, honestly. Eager to get back in there. This is going to bite him in the ass. Royval all day. Might lay more money on it. 2 units for me right now. Moving on to the main event, we stay in the flyweight division. Alexandre Pantoja taking on Kai Kara France. Yeah, man. I don't know what I can really say about this fight. I think Pantoja's a little better everywhere except for the power. Kai Kara France brings a lot of power. If Pantoja gets the back, it's his round historically. They fought once before, went to decision. Rematches don't usually go the same. And if Kai Kara France does give up the positions where people are getting on his back, getting to his neck, Pantoja's the guy to finish. He didn't have 3 rounds, 5 rounds to do it last time that they fought. Now he does. I could definitely see Pantoja going out here, giving him the old vet lesson. But yeah, I'm kind of on the Pantoja side. I'm kind of on Pantoja by finish. Don't think that I'll actually find myself there, but that's where I lean in this fight.
On the Pantoja side as well, man, I think he's much better than Kai Kara France. I kind of alluded to it in the introduction. Pantoja's just kind of cleaned out the division, and Manel Kopp can't seem to make a number 1 contender fight to save his life. And so I kind of feel like that's why, Kara France is getting this spot. They're flying guys, Kaya Sakura over from Ryzen and immediately giving him a title shot because Pantoja's cleaned out this division. So I'm on the Pantoja side, but I played the over 3.5 minus 165 to win 1.5 units. So I've got almost 2.5 units invested there. Kai Kara France does have power, but man, we're working with a 34 fight sample size plus the Ultimate Fighter, where Pantoja's never even been dropped. Man, he's never shown a moment that he's been hurt on the feet. It's flyweight on top of that, and I don't think Kara France is going to submit him. I can pretty much, I think, count that out of the question. And so I don't really rate Kai Kara France finish, but 10%, like, honestly, like I think that's being realistic. Maybe Kai Kara France finishes at a 10% clip. Maybe he lands some bigger shots and hurts him and wins a decision that way, but I don't think he's going to finish Pantoja. And then how often do I think Pantoja finishes Kai Kara France? I think it's maybe 20 to 25%. I think it's late in the fight if he were to get a back take. I think Kai Kara France has shown plenty of times that he can give up the back to Amir Bazi, to Askar Askarov, and ride out these positions. I think he's prepped a ton in fight camp probably for these positions as well. So I trust Kai Kara France to stay safe if he's going to give up these positions. And so at the end of the day, it's flyweights, man. It was set at 3.5, just over 60%, where I think it goes the distance at probably 70 to 75%. So happy to lay an over there easily. Pantoja's the pick for me, though. And moving up, main event, Ilia Topuria making the step up to be the one of the very few guys to ever hold 2 belts, taking on Charles Oliveira. Line's crazy, man. Ilia Topuria is a great fighter. He's a hard fighter to kind of stand in front of with a lot of units if you're going to fade him. The guy pours everything into his fight camps, all kind of money, sleep chambers, recovery, everything, man. And, Joshua Van has great boxing, but Ilia Topuria's boxing is next level. The way he works the body, his power, and even his grappling. Charles Oliveira is just maybe the most dangerous UFC fighter in existence, man. He's super dangerous on the feet. He's super dangerous on the mat. He's been in so many 5-round fights. I think it's pretty disrespectful to have him at plus 400. My pick is Ilia Topuria. If he knocks him out in the first couple rounds, I'm not shocked, man. This is a guy who's went out there and put Volkanovski away, who's put Max Holloway away. So it's not going to shock me. Charles is hurt and knocked down in almost every fight. But I think giving him a 20% chance or less to win this fight is quite disrespectful with as dangerous as he can be, being the true lightweight, having the submission upside. Like I told you earlier yesterday when we were on the phone talking about it, I think you could take him down and put a damn body triangle in and ride out minutes, man. Like I really, really do. Ilia Topuria, there's been instances where he, when he's working hard, he does slow down a little bit. And now it's 5 rounds. And so ultimately, man, I think you and I kind of both feel the same way. It's hard to get in front of Topuria with a lot of units, but it's can't pass up Charles Oliveira plus 400. So I got a half unit on him to win 2 units. I'm siding with Topuria. The line's just whack, though.
Yeah, so it's Charlie Olives are pass for sure. Plus 400 is good enough for me. It looks like people are going to continue to parlay Topuria, which I'm fine with, but not overrated. It's not the right word, but I think that he's had some favorable matchups in his last 2 fights where he's knocking out legends in Volkanovski and Max Holloway. In the Volkanovski fight, Volk came back way too soon off of the Islam Makhachev knockout. Yeah. In the Max Holloway fight, he fights up at 155, and then less than 6 months, he goes back down, makes the weight cut to 145. That we know Max is, always made, but he looks like death whenever he's on the scale. And so yet another reason why I think that he could have been a little bit chinny there. Charles Oliveira, he's a problem for anybody if you don't knock him out. That's exactly what Ilia is going to have to do. And if he doesn't knock him out in the first 2 rounds, every other way that this plays out, it's closer than plus 400, Yeah. I look at the Arman Tsarukyan fight, and it's like he had Arman dead to rights a couple of times, and Ilya's people are comparing Arman and Ilia, which I think is insane. Arman has so much more muscle than Ilia Topuria, and he's just bigger frame-wise. Ilya's a little bit small for the division. We've seen it in the Jai Herbert fight. He's been dropped a couple of times. I know that this was maybe his debut against Yusuf Zalal, but another one where it's like body language, everything else, it doesn't look good against somebody like Yusuf Zalal. And Charles Oliveira is much bigger, much more dangerous. Man, I think that this is a really easy lay for plus 400. Ilya's looked phenomenal, but, if there was a guy that Ilya's fought up until this point who, has had, what are we looking at, like 8 months since his last fight, full camp, this is the spot right here, and we're getting an amazing price tag. When you look at Ilia Topuria at plus 115 against Volkanovski after Volk just got knocked out, that's a great spot. But minus 550 against Charles Oliveira, I don't think so, man. I just don't think that that's the spot, especially coming up at 155 or the last time that we saw him at 155, he almost gets deadened by a journeyman. We've seen people in the past, Bryce Mitchell take him down. We've seen, I don't know, dude. This is a pretty easy spot to pull the trigger for Charles Oliveira here. If he gets finished, he gets finished, but the price just doesn't make sense. So yeah, give me Charles Oliveira here for sure.
Just 12 fights this Saturday in Las Vegas, International Fight Week, but two pretty nice title fights up for grabs. No fight card next week, but after the break, we are back for UFC Nashville in your boys' backyard. We will be there live for Derek Lewis versus Taliesin Teixeira. Sitting in section, 112, 114 at the Fighter Walkouts. Super excited for that, man. Yeah, so if you're there, make sure to holler at us. Make sure you guys hanging out. We'll see you next week.
Peace.